right. Oh my gosh. Right off of the funky music, everyone. How's it going? It's another Monday evening. I'm 30, flirty, and thriving. This is the Living Force, and Wes is punching it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Living Force, a Utini Network podcast, all about the books we love and the people we love even more. My name's Eric Eilerson. I'm one of your hosts, and joining me tonight is the full crew, starting off with the almost done with the damn trailer, Dr. Corey Helton.
That's exactly how I freaking feel right now, too. Let me tell you, holy smokes. I'm like having a Halloween party this weekend, and everybody wants to see it, so I'm doing my absolute damnedest to get it done by Friday, and it's not going to happen. I've given up. I've
Acceptance
decided
is important.
it's not going to happen, but just about everything's done, so.
You should park it somewhere where they can't find it, and then rent a really crappy one, and then put it in the driveway. That's what I did.
Oh yeah,
like a pop-up camper.
Exactly, like a pop-up camper, like just like a really run-down camper that like barely is even on wheels. They'll be like, I thought you were building one. Oh no, I sold that. I got this one instead.
This is so unlike you though, Corey. Like you would just not sleep between now and Friday and somehow finish this thing.
Yeah. I know. Unfortunately, the supply chain is my evil, apparently. So, you know.
Nothing like a supply chain to force Corey into a little bit of self-care, everyone. But if you heard that other voice, that was the glorious voice of the epitome of self-care for others, just not himself, Dr. Charles Hankel. Hey, buddy.
I was wondering where that one was going. I was like, wow. Hey, I'm doing well. I think I'm better now that I'm here with you guys.
Oh, thanks, man.
That sounds exactly like someone who doesn't take care of themselves would say. Very good.
Yeah, see, we're all here. We're all slightly healthy, but we're really only healthy because we have, by osmosis, like absorbed the good vibes that are leaking out of Texas through Wes Jenkins.
Happy World Series season, everyone. Maybe just me into our friends in Atlanta.
Amazing.
I am a happy guy, and I had tickets to Game 7, but we didn't need those. Silly me. So I'm gonna get a refund anyways. So just to say, we are the most hated team in America right now, and I love it. And I can't wait for, like Eric had said before we went on live, how everybody's gonna root against us to lose. So go us. And Houston Astros.
All right.
21 World Series champions.
Careful.
We gotta have some kind of bet going in the Utiniverse with our Atlanta fans. But everyone, before we get too much closer, I do want to say, because I'm getting better at this, if you're watching us live, hello. If you're watching us later, hello. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, which now has over 2,000 subscribers. We just crossed that threshold. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting everything we do at Utini. It's awesome. That was a little selfish. It's awesome. We're awesome. No, you're great. We appreciate all the love and support. But I did want to take a second to not even humble brag, just brag a little bit. I'm sorry for this next segment, but I got to do it. As I said in the pre-roll intro, I am 30 now. I turned 30 last week. And for that, I went on my big adult vacation to Disneyland. And it was awesome. Like, nerd. Y'all, if you're an adult that is able to save up money for 2 years because of a global pandemic, I highly recommend going to Disneyland because it's really great. And I went to Galaxy's Edge for the first time ever, and it was everything that I kind of wanted it to be. And I just wanted to share with y'all a little bit of the things that I was able to get, some of the presents that happened, because, like, it was fun. It was a great time. But first, I got to shout out my partner, Charlie, my Ghost Crew host, my partner in life, all the great things, because she gave me this before we left. Yeah. It's Ben Solo's lightsaber to add to my truly stupidly large lightsaber collection at this point.
Wow.
This has been in our apartment for 4 months. I found out.
Crap.
She hid it in a closet, and we have a one-bedroom apartment. But she hid this in
Eric,
the
you're really
apartment.
bad at finding stuff.
Yeah, how do you not
I
just
don't
go
look for 'em.
rummaging through your things?
You should
I don't
really,
like looking for
You
presents.
should really like do some chores or something, man. I mean, this
Oh
place-
no, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But she got me that. But that, of course, does not. I love that lightsaber, but it's my second favorite lightsaber I got the week because I did go to Galaxy's Edge and build this guy. This is my
Aw.
gold High Republic-esque blade that I built at Savi's workshop for a lot of money. But I will say, if y'all are going to Galaxy's Edge and you're thinking about it, like, is it really cool enough to warrant the money? It was one of the most like spiritual Star Wars experiences I've ever had. Like, don't look
Wow.
up what happens.
Yeah,
Don't
I
look
know,
up videos.
I was
Oh, God.
gonna say, like, it's so funny. Like, people on our team lots of people have been to Disneyland or Disney World and done some of these experiences, but nobody talks about it. Like, because we all want everybody else to be able to experience it, right? So, but like,
Yeah.
what was that like, Eric? Like, tell us. I don't know. Tell us
Yeah.
what it was like. What was it like going through the park? I mean, it like looks like
Mhm.
you're actually in Star Wars, right?
Yeah, it was great because when I went there, Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland at least is like in the back of the park. So if you go into Disneyland proper, you like go through there's like Adventureland and Tomorrowland and like it's split up. And Galaxy's Edge is in kind of like the back corner. So we got there the first day at 6:30 a.m. to get there at like the rope drop of the park. So when the park eventually opened, me and Charlie and a couple of my friends that were there, we ran all the way to the back of the park, and everyone else goes to rides first. So Galaxy's Edge, when I got there, I essentially had an empty park, and as you walk through, there's music that starts because all of Disneyland has speakers all around, giving you vibes of where you are. So I started to hear these like little bird calls, and started to hear these wild like wilderness sounds, and the trash cans started to change, and they had Aurebesh on them, and it like slowly transformed into Batuu. Like I went by an A-wing, and then I went by the X-wing, and then I turned the corner, and the whole bazaar is there going into Black Spire Outpost. And then I went through the main thing where you get the Ronto Raptor, like the pod racer engine is, and then I looked and it's just a Millennium Falcon. And it was like I mean you freeze, right? I mean you can't
Right.
it's a life-size Millennium Falcon, and it was absolutely gorgeous, and the whole time was like that. Like every time you're walking around, it's so immersive, it's so beautifully put together. Even when there's big crowds too, it's easy to navigate. And of course, there's like all kinds of stuff to get. Doc Ondar's is one of my favorites. Like, you know, the place where you get all your oddities. Like, I got this guy. I got the Rose Tico Haitian smelt necklace.
Nice.
There. Right? Isn't that the one? Haitian
Yeah.
smelt. Good conductor.
Mhm.
I got 3 extra kyber crystals because you can change the color of your lightsaber you build.
Oh, cool.
If you want, with an actual crystal that tells the programming of the blade what color to put on, which is amazing. And just for you, Wes, I got one of the
Yes.
Nice.
we got one of the Coke bottle thermal detonators. And one of the cool and then for you guys, I got the boy or his mother. I got some chance cubes.
God, I just want to
We need to work those into the show.
We absolutely will. And then one of the cool things when you go to Savi's, because the conceit of it is that you're like building scrap because Jedi are still on the run because it's between episodes 8 and 9, I believe. And you go and look at the 4 categories of lightsaber. Basically, one's like Jedi, one's like Sithy, one's nature, and one's like High Republic-esque. And you pick that beforehand, and they give you a pin. This is the High Republic one I got, which is protection and defense. So when you go in to build your saber, they like see you, and then they just pull out the parts of the one that you did, and then and there's like multiple options, and you like craft them as they tell you the story of the Jedi and how like it's just so cool. And one like kind of pseudo dumb thing that I did, but that I actually loved more than anything was that I got these pins. That said happy birthday and first visit. And I'm not kidding. I wear these all 3 days because it's a whole trip. From everyone from cast members, like characters, all the way to like shop owners, to restaurant people, to custodians. Every single Disney cast member employee said happy birthday, Eric. And it was the greatest thing in the world. It was like, I was like, thank you. Oh my goodness. Thank
Did
you.
Kylo Ren tell you happy birthday?
I didn't get close enough because he was talking to kids. And if you want to see true immersion and wonder, go to Galaxy's Edge and watch Kylo Ren talk to like the little kids because they are in it. And like he was amazing. He like asked them all to join the dark side. Every character was just 10 out of 10. We went to a special after hours like Halloween bash where we got to go meet the villains and get candy. And like, it was just amazing time. Very fortunate that I was able to go. Oga's Cantina, also the greatest thing ever. This mug is from there. It's like hand carved with Endor symbols.
And that's cool.
Drinks were great, and it really just feels like a straight up Star Wars bar. And I'm like, I got to see the blaster bolts from Thrawn Alliances. You can find them when they talk about. And like a cast member was like, legend says Darth Vader came to this cantina one time. And I'm like, oh, does it? I know that. So yeah, it was just truly like everything I could have ever imagined it to be. Shout out to our boy Freddie on the team from Legends Look Back, who was also let me stay in his place the whole time. I saw him for like 5 minutes a day. Freddie, you're a king. I love you. And to my buddy Alex, who actually hit me up on Discord and said he was going to be there. We did meet up. We got to go on Star Tours. My first time. I got to meet Alex's family and people, and like it was just it was such a cool meetup. He was sporting the Epic Utini sweatshirt, so props, dude. It was so great to meet you.
Nice.
I learned that I still don't like rides. Like I don't like being jiggled, but you know what I love? Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, best thing in the world. Like the Haunted Mansion, dope. Like all the cliche stuff.
Is that why you don't like them?
No, it's just pure unadulterated fear. It's just fear. Like I know it's like I know I'm safe logically, but like a lot of them now are screens that they, I'm flying, I'm falling, and my body's just like, nope.
Eric,
but I love the little rides.
In the VR headset
I'm terrified.
That like dives headfirst into the TV screen.
Yeah,
and shatters.
No, it is not good, but it is
That's fantastic.
Overall. It was the best time imaginable. And then Corey, I found it was, and Charles and Wes were part of a giant surprise on my last day. That was maybe one of the greatest things that ever happened in my entire life. Corey, what have you been doing behind my back?
Yeah, so Charlie texted me a couple of weeks ago. Notably, she refused to join Slack, which I did try to con her into doing at the time. But she insisted that we communicate over text message, which was fine. And we essentially put together this crazy birthday video of like Eric's family and friends and all these people I've never met before. And I edited the crap out of it. It took me like 5 hours to edit all these clips together. And we made this like 30-minute video. It was crazy, and I hope it was as big of a surprise as it was for us to work on.
Yeah, it was funny because Charlie was like, she assumed I knew what was going on because there's no way you wouldn't have heard. And like my best friend Ian, I saw at the park who I hadn't seen in person for 6 years. My friend Sarah, I saw at the park, who were all part of it, and they were like apparently like silently motioning to Charlie while we were at the park, like, has he seen it? Has he seen it? And I'm like, I love being surprised, so I don't try to think about things. But yeah, our last day at Disneyland, I get home to Freddy's. I'm about to pass out for 4 hours, and Charlie's like, wait, hold on. Here's a 27-minute video of all the people you love saying happy 30th birthday, including people I hadn't seen for years.
Yeah,
and it was
wild, dude.
Wow.
That's wild.
I absolutely cried, and Freddie recorded the whole thing.
He did. He recorded the whole thing. Unfortunately, I don't have that edit. I will eventually make that where it's just like, like
just
we watch reaction like we classically do. But we have a Slack channel, Eric. It's called Not Eric.
He showed it to me.
Yeah, we do have a Slack channel, which I'm not sure if I want to delete it or not, quite frankly. So
just keep it around.
Yeah, I just wanted to come to this channel today to say that Eric really pisses me off. All right, bye.
Don't see that today.
Pretty much exactly that, but it was a ton of fun to edit. I do have to say that Eric has really incredible friends, and like my wife made me one of these videos a couple years ago for my birthday, and none of my friends are interesting like yours are, Eric. So all these actors like really went above and beyond in their skits, and it was really, really fantastic. It was a ton of fun to edit. But we did make the very end of the video Star Wars themed and kind of emotional and everything, and I thought I would play it on the show just so you guys could kind of see it because it was a lot of fun. And I cried making this, like I said before the show, which was really cool. So let me throw that up and we'll watch that together.
are you doing there, 3PO?
Taking one last look, sir, at my friends.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, bitch.
Well, happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, my man.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy 30th birthday, Eric.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy 30th birthday, Eric.
Happy birthday.
Look how old you've become.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, friend.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Eric.
Happy birthday. Yeah, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, man.
Happy birthday, love. And may the force be with you. Always.
Yeah, so that was how that ended. And, it was the
Eric
best. It
cried
was the
like
best
a
thing.
baby. They filmed his
Yup.
reaction. I'll make the video and put it somewhere.
Ugh.
And it was a lot of fun to work on. You got a lot of people in your life that love you, man, Eric. And I think I can speak for all three of us here on the show with you that like it's an honor to be your friend, man. So you know,
Absolutely.
let's keep doing this
guys.
stupid thing.
But you know,
Okay. So
You, I don't know. We do one for you when you're 31. Will it be just as good?
I'll be like, my
Probably
30th was
not.
no, I'll be like Dudley. I'll be like, what? How many are there?
that's one less than last
There were
year.
30 videos.
36.
Yeah. Next
well,
year,
thanks,
I'm
guys.
just gonna film a video. It's just gonna be like, well, you're 31. Last year I made you a video, so whatever. Happy birthday.
Yeah, all right. I know. I'll buy a beer or something. Well, you know what? It was even almost as sweet as all those things, guys. I won fantasy this week.
Oh my god.
This is the Genie Fantasy Update really quick out of that. Oh, God. It's going to be tough for the rest of the show now. I did, everyone, win fantasy this week. I did beat Charlie, which makes it a little bittersweet. But Wes, you unfortunately ran into the absolute unstoppable Derrick Henry train that is Jacob. Our very own Spice Den, who is riding the Matthew Stafford Cooper Cup stack to invincibility in our league. It is awful.
Unreal.
I'm sorry.
I not only lost, I also left Sterling Shepard on my starting roster, who was out, apparently. I didn't look at the updates. I joked in the fantasy football Slack channel that I should just put all my fantasy football players in my fantasy hockey team, and I'd probably score more points.
Yeah, it was it was not your best outing. Jacob, I can't wait for that Rams bye week so you actually maybe lose, but you probably won't. The league is still going very well, and that joke I made about Andrew trading Christian McCaffrey for Derrick Henry the first week has aged like milk. Andrew, great call. Great call on that.
Milk
Sorry,
doesn't
man.
age good. That's weird.
No, it doesn't. So well done. But you know what ages better than milk and Christian McCaffrey's injuries is our Patreons. I keep saying Patreon and Patreon at the same time every week. Our Patreons.
That's like a
The
country
New England
way of saying
Patreons.
Patreon. It's our Patreons. We got them Patreons to give us
We got
money,
them Patreons. But them there Patreons, you're getting a present probably next week because we, number one, have a new one of y'all. Dennis Shovey, you got in just under the wire, man. Thanks for joining our Patreon. You are going to get our next Patreon reward that is coming your way next week. Yes, everyone, it's finally happening this Friday evening. The four of us wackos are gonna get together, have some brews, throw on the Audacity recording, and watch Attack of the Clones. You are getting a play-by-play recording of, one of the most thought about Star Wars movies in our circles for like the last year, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
so much.
it's gonna be so much fun.
I cannot wait to watch this because last time we watched Phantom Menace and all of us walked away with like new stuff that we'd never seen before. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I've seen this movie like probably close to the same amount of times that I've seen like Empire. All right, so like
Yo!
I'm gonna be surprised if you guys point anything out to me that I haven't seen. So
Did you know that his lightsaber
Yeah.
is curved because of arthritis?
I don't know movie facts. That's not my thing. That's Wes.
Oh, great.
I'm
Then
gonna
I can
look
do
up-
that.
Yeah, I'm
All
gonna
right,
look
awesome.
up all the weirdo facts and make sure that I point them
Hayden
out.
Christensen broke his toe when he kicked that helmet. All right. So look forward to that. And then after a little bit of time has passed, not too often, we will be doing our video commentary of Rogue One. So we have a busy month coming up in our lives. But for all you patrons,
Maybe
to be
November, maybe.
yeah, to be perfectly honest, you have been supporting us at such a rampant rate, we cannot keep up with the reward system. So that's the craziest, beautiful brag and thanks I can give. You all are amazing.
We keep getting Star Wars books, and Charles and I are doctors, and Charles is busy.
So we'll get there.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me.
We love y'all. All right, bigger things we love. We got some great announcements. Wes, hit that Star Wars Weekly Roundup.
It's the Star Wars Weekly Roundup.
All right, everyone. Star Wars Weekly Roundup. We got 3 parts. Oh, wait. Let me do that properly. This Star Wars Weekly Roundup comes to you in 3 parts. Part 1, Hayden Christensen is coming to his Ahsoka!
Oh my God.
It's Hayden season, baby. He's 40. He's thriving. Look at him. He's back.
That young child is 40 years old.
He is
Did
40.
not-
I think he's like
Lord.
38 in that picture.
Did not realize that. We pulled this up before the show, looking for the news article you wanted to show, and you know how Google like shows you like a sneak peek at like Wikipedia or whatever. Like I think we all learned that Hayden Christensen is 40. I did not know that, and I did not know he was Canadian. So, you know, little fun facts.
Universal healthcare makes you look good.
It does. This is a big deal, guys. This is a big deal. I think that Hayden Christensen is finally going to get the fan recognition going forward that he's always deserved. I think so.
True.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
I mean, like we've seen it happen with Ahmed Best in the last couple of years, and Hayden has been really private. He's a private dude. He always kind of has been a private dude, and he's cool. And he makes his face he's shown his face at some conventions and stuff over the last couple months. But like, he's been pretty private. I mean, it's been like if you see him like before he was in Star Wars to after he was in Star Wars, like. It kind of looks like it ruined his life, you know. I don't know.
A little bit.
Star
People
Wars
are,
does that.
you know.
It does that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, I hope that he feels loved and like genuinely like people care about him because all the prequel kids have grown up now, and I think we all you know recognize that we did him dirty.
The passage of time is what makes us like long for these characters that you haven't seen in forever. So if you, it's like when you haven't. I'm going to relate this to pro wrestling. If you take a character, whether it be a good guy or a bad guy, and you take them off screen for years, people forget about them. So you forget that they were in the ring and they were doing matches or whatever, and they had these feuds. But then they come back out of nowhere, which was kind of like what this announcement was. Come back out of nowhere, and people were just like, "Oh my God, I remember! I loved that guy. That guy was the best." And having it be like the main character, like the Darth Vader, the Anakin Skywalker. I mean, that's big time, and I think that's gonna bring back a lot of people that may have left the Star Wars fandom or haven't seen it in a while or something like that. So I think it's such a huge surprise for everybody.
And now, do I wish that we could have just gotten this by him showing up in the show? I do. That's not the world we live in now. We'll never have that again. Fine. However, I also think it's interesting because the Ahsoka series, we don't know when it's going to be set. I think if they try to go back in time and do an earlier series, that would be chaotic because most people watching it, honestly, probably haven't watched Clone Wars. They just watched Mandalorian. But I think it's possible that Hayden, like, will do more of a cameo. I don't think he's going to be like in Obi-Wan where they're like, it's Vader. Like, he's a main character. I think we might be getting, like, some Clone Wars-esque flashbacks, which is I think what we all kind of really want, like seeing him in the Anakin Clone Wars armor in live action would make us all right, just the thought being like, oh my God, like it gives me the tinglies.
So just to be clear, the Kenobi show is coming before the Ahsoka show, right?
Oh yeah, the Kenobi show's like done
Yeah.
filming. I believe.
Yeah.
it's
So all of the
Yeah.
and he's confirmed to be in that as well, right?
Oh yeah, he's like on the
Okay,
poster of characters.
Yeah, that's
in
what I
all,
thought.
in
That's
all
what
of
I
his
thought.
in all of his like convention photos recently, he's been wearing the Obi-Wan stunt team hat.
Oh really?
which
Yeah,
has been cool to
Okay,
see.
I know what you're
Yep.
talking about. Yeah. Because the entire fan community has sort of treated this announcement as if this is the announcement of him coming back to Star
Yeah.
Wars, which I mean, even this Hollywood Reporter is titled, returning to Star Wars with Ahsoka, but like that's not really true, right? Because he's coming.
They're
to
like,
Kenobi
well, he hasn't.
first.
Yeah, he hasn't been seen yet in Kenobi, so I guess they can
Yeah.
still get the clickbait out of it for now. You know.
Perhaps maybe that's what it is.
Well, although
Yeah.
I am not saying they would ever put a misleading title in order to get click revenue. Like, let's be clear, no one actually does that. But hypothetically,
I do have to say though, I'm a little surprised that this is the case. Like
too.
coming back to Ahsoka, like this is more creative. I feel like than bringing him back to the Kenobi show. Easy to do a flashback in the Kenobi show or to face off with Kenobi, but like in the Ahsoka series, this is interesting. Like I have no idea how this is going to be used as a Force ghost, as a ongoing character. Like how's this going to play out? I don't know.
we'll see. But you know what that also means to me? It means that in the Kenobi series, he's probably really good. Because you know what I mean? Like that was this kind of that could have been a stunt
That's a good
casting by Deborah
point.
Chow. But when they filmed it, they're like, "Oh, cool! Hayden can actually act super well. Let's do another show." Because
Oh my
I
God,
mean,
please do it.
you got to test it. So
What if,
very excited
what
for
if
that.
What if we get a live action show called Skywalker?
Stop it.
That's just the Skywalker saga. We got 9 movies of it. It already happened.
Live action Clone Wars, except it's just Anakin and his like gritty missions with clones, like clone commandos. It's just brutally killing people. It's violence, R-rated.
All right, Star Wars theory, calm down. But maybe, I mean, hey, if Hayden Christensen wants to build a pool, I'm sure we'll get whatever we need. But very excited for you, Hayden. Hey, Hayden, I know you're watching. Very stoked for you, dude. And that'll be coming out again. Ahsoka, I'm guessing, is probably going to be like 2023, but I'm sure we'll find out more at our celebration next
This
year.
article says the production starts in 2022, so
Okay, yeah, then it's coming 2023
it's a long way.
Is there like a D plus event at the end of this year?
in
Or
November.
November.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
There's like a behind the scenes of Boba Fett thing where I think we might get some footage, but I'm hoping for at least
The
a
announcements
date
of
for
20
Andor
more
Kenobi.
shows.
L3, the show.
Last time they did that, they announced literally everything, so that was crazy.
Yeah, we freaked out.
Yeah.
But another reason we freaked out this week was because we got a book teaser. Because as we all know, in January, we are getting the end of the High Republic Phase 1 with Wave 3. Remember, everyone, a single phase contains 3 waves. So we get the last wave of books, which will end Phase 1. And we got this amazing, like, 2-part teaser poster. Let's throw that up right now. That Phil Noto put together, like a classic, like, action movie saga of all the High Republic Jedi right now, with Starlight Beacon just straight up in flames. And it just says, "Who will survive?" Like, they are leaning into his hardcore, which tells me, 1, it's absolutely going to be as diabolically heartbreaking as we think. But number 2, there's no way that Starlight Beacon is actually the big thing that happens, which means a bigger thing will happen than that, which also breaks my mind in half.
That's a little alarming, I do have to say. We kind of talked
I'm
about.
concerned.
Yes, we talked about, like, as soon as we saw this thing, we're like, yes, that thing's not going to last, right? Like, that thing's dead for sure. I mean, we talked about that very early on, but, like, I don't know what Mark Yenro is going to be up to, man, after all this. So, I don't know. What's the big bad going to be? What's the thing going to be? I don't know.
It's
Like,
just,
who's gonna
it's
die?
worrisome because they've never marketed just straight up who's gonna die, and they're already killing big characters even when they're not marketing that way. So now that they are, like, that's their tagline. Like,
Yeah.
what did it say? Who will survive
will
when the light of the Jedi?
Yeah, who will
goes dark?
survive?
Like,
Yeah.
people are
That's
just
a-
gonna be going down in scores, man.
That's a great way to sell a few books. Tell
It
me.
is.
It is.
Who's going
Especially-
down? Got to find out.
Because guess what, everyone? You know what's going down? The paper shortage. Pre-order your books if you want to be in on this. Also, I think our Jacob said either in Discord or Slack, he was going to print out this one, which I think is a really cool, especially cool poster, and just start having a red X and just go over every person that ends up dying.
This is really cool. The only thing I wish this poster had was like small names of all the people on it. That would be really cool. But you can kind of
people have done that on Twitter and stuff, which is great. And if you're only a book reader and haven't read the comics, or you're a comic reader that wants to know more about the concept art, there is art of all the Jedi in the books now. So if you want to like see what Elzar Mann looks like, if you want to see what Comac Vitus looks like these posters I thought were a really, really smart way to do that, because it's been such a visual initiative. So
you want to see what Orbelin looks like.
Orbelin. Team Orbelin, man. Don't touch his artifacts. But what you can touch before then, everyone, our final bit of news is about Thrawn Ascendancy Lesser Evil, which is this thick boy next to me here. Thank you to our friend Del Rey, who shipped out the physical copy of this week. Look how this is like a giant novel. I believe I'm not going to read the last pages to myself because I'm not done with it yet. It is 548 pages. You can. It's like a brick. But if you have pre-ordered this, you need to head over to the Del Rey Twitter account or to Penguin Random House because there are exclusive things you can get, including a printable calendar, a map of the chaos showing all the planets, which is something we haven't seen before because it's not out in the lesser space, as it's called in the Ascendancy books, and exclusive wallpaper, which are some really cool digital goodies you can get ahead of Thrawn Ascendancy, Lesser Evil. I almost said Chaos Rising of Lesser Evil. And if you've been reading along with this trilogy, you know that any visual reference you can get with planet names or characters or literally anything is super, super helpful. So make sure you go to the Del Rey Twitter account. It's very easy to click through. You just enter in your name, your shipping and all that, your email address, and then you just got to upload a picture of your pre-order receipt. So screenshot that, get your digital goodies, and get super, super psyched for Thrawn Ascendancy Lesser Evil, which is coming out on November 16th. Again, get those pre-orders in. There is a paper shortage, so it will be very hard to get a second printing of the book if you don't pre-order it initially. So get those in. Also, while you're there, go to utini.com release calendar, pre-order Thrawn, pre-order the High Republic Fallen Star, which comes out January 4th, to make sure that all these beautiful, beautiful books look great on your shelf.
And that special pre-order link is in the description below.
Wes, you're a godsend.
Thanks.
You're incredible. I say that to you a lot, but not nearly enough. Now, because of my... thank you, Jacob, in the chat. That is a United States only promo. I'm sorry to our international listeners. International shipping has been...
Leave it to the lawyer to find the fine print.
Are you telling me that Hayden Christensen couldn't get this offer?
No.
He's Canadian. No.
Absolutely.
Sorry, buddy. Maybe do some work for your life. But anyway,
I'm sure you can come over
check that out. Go in the description. Check out the doobly-doo where Wes has put that very helpfully. Now, because of my emotional breakdown at the beginning and my swag bundle, we've already gone a bit long. So what we're going to do, no book reviews this week. We'll come back to those next week. But please do look up your book on utini.com. Go to the complete book details and scroll to the bottom of whatever book you've just recently read. Leave a star rating. Leave a little blurb about what you liked about the book or what other people might find helpful. We still need some for Ronin because I know some people have been finishing it. I want to hear your thoughts before we get to our roundtable. So check that out again on utini.com. Just do a search. Leave that for us for next week. Whew. All right, we are going to take a really quick break, and then when we come back, we are going to dive in to the Dia de los Muertos celebration. See you in a second.
Darth Vader lightsaber lamp, and I just like I just knocked over everything in my office so I could get this into the camera shot. I knocked one of the posters off the wall.
Anderson cover. I have heard the Anderson cover described by some friends of mine as one of their least favorite Legends covers, and I don't totally know why. Maybe it's just because Depa Billaba has this dead stare in the background.
You know what it is?
Emma, what is your art of the week this week?
Yeah, so I don't have anything as dark and depressing as that corpse, but
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We're still here. We're still doing this. So it is the end of Halloween, everyone. No, it's not the end of October. It's the beginning of the Halloween season. See, I'm like Target right now. I'm like, Halloween's almost over. It's Christmas. So everyone, we decided last year we did a Halloween episode, and I almost did another one in the outlines before Charles told me we literally did that last year, Eric. It's the same exact show. Don't repeat yourself. You're unoriginal. Just because you're 30 doesn't mean you can get away with this. It was a very harsh message. But I listened to Charles because I realized, you know what? There are other holidays being celebrated around this time other than Halloween, including the very prominent Dia de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead. It is celebrated on November 1st and 2nd, originally in Mexico, and it is essentially a holiday of celebration of those who have passed on. It became very prominent in like the Western white people culture when Coco came out the other year. And it's been just huge in Mexico and other surrounding areas. And it has a bunch of beautiful traditions associated with it. It is a time to celebrate those who are deceased, of family members and friends that love them, and share stories and pictures and build home altars, Cole a friend does, with like food and beverages and all these kind of things. And I was like, you know what? We talk so much about legacy here on the Living Force, here at Utini. What better time to talk about legacies than around a holiday that's literally all about that, which was further reinforced when I was at Disneyland and I saw a woman with a shirt that had Padme, or the Queen Amidala, in like a skull makeup for Dia de los Muertos, and it said "Remember Me" under it from Coco. Wow. It was absolutely beautiful. And when I pitched this, Charles, you said that you are kind of also really interacting with Dia de los Muertos at work, of all places.
Yeah, so we recently had a day in my department where everyone got to talk about holidays that were meaningful to them. And we were trying to kind of work those into our celebrations kind of throughout the rest of the year. And Dia de los Muertos came up. So we actually are going to have ofrendas up in all of our clinics, and we can, all kind of celebrate, bring in food, bring in pictures of loved ones to put on these altars. And I'm pretty excited about it, actually.
That's awesome. I think it's just such a great thing to do overall, because I feel like, especially in my life at least, and in a lot of like culture that I grew up in, death is always such a horrible, sad thing, which of course it is. We miss the people as they move on. But even if you're not religious, the idea of celebrating someone's life after death is such an exciting, wonderful thing. And I think a thing that we do see in Star Wars weirdly all the time. Like, no one's ever really gone. It's literally instant in the movie, right?
They threw a mad party when Vader died.
Yeah, they did.
You're not wrong.
Did you guys hear that? I just heard this the other week. Speaking of that the the Vader bonfire scene was added like months before the movie came out. Did you guys know this?
I never heard that.
No.
Yeah. So apparently, when the movie was like done, Return of the Jedi, the last time we saw Vader was when he was on the Death Star talking to Luke, and then the Death Star just blew up and Luke left. And George Lucas was like, I wonder what, we don't know what happened to Vader. Like, I don't know. Like, he was a little unsure about it. So I think a couple of months before the film was released, they brought Hamill back and shot the bonfire scene so we could actually see his body burning, to be like, the funeral pyre got added late, which is so great. Because of like, and now the Alphabet Squadron tie into that scene is now a thing. The whole helmet being destroyed in The Force Awakens is like that decision just split it out into so much lore. I love that. But what I love more is the return of one of my favorite segments, guys. It's Eric's Stupid Game. Yeah. So it's been a hot minute.
Oh, sorry, it was delayed.
It's all right. I saw it about to happen. That's all I wanted. So tonight, we are going to play a game in honor of Dia de los Muertos. We are going to honor the legacies of some of our favorite characters that have passed on. Now, this should be spoiler light. If you've seen the movies, we're gonna try to stick to just movie characters. If we start getting on a roll and we want to go through some book deaths, we will tell you ahead of time, Wes. So that some of us,
I'm not doing
Wes,
any book deaths.
don't
I'm doing only movies.
any book deaths.
Wes.
But
How dare you?
But as you see in all the movies, you will know these deaths, and we are essentially going to be the people in universe that are taking the pictures to the ofrendas and remembering those that have passed on. So, gentlemen, let's start out with the easiest one of all. This is the softball, if you will. So, Wes, you'll love this one. Could you play softball?
I thought it was because he was soft.
Oh no!
Go ahead, Eric.
Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker famously dies, becomes one with the Force in Episode 8. So we'll do a distinct order for this. Just guys, gut reaction. If you're putting a picture of Luke Skywalker on the altar, what is your immediate thought of the legacy of Luke Skywalker?
Oh my gosh. I think my immediate thought, my picture that I'd want to be up there would be staring at the twin suns, first of all. And probably my thought is that Luke's legacy is what an impact you can have if you kind of just put yourself out there, right? Like he was a nobody from nowhere. He wanted to get out into the universe and look at the actual impact that he had that gave us the Skywalker saga.
Right.
Ooh.
The man that brought back the Jedi, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It would have had nothing until after Return of the Jedi, because Leia he had trained Leia. Him and Leia had trained, but if he decided to say, "Hey, this is it," I mean, there's no reason to have Jedi anymore because the Sith and the Empire are done. So let's go to Florida and then live the rest of our lives. Like,
Florida.
In a condo, and then say we're done.
Luke the Floridian.
Yeah, but yeah, I would say the person who brought back the Jedi, who were tempted to bring back the Jedi.
That's really good. I like the those are both great. So I would also say maybe he's the legacy of redefining the Skywalker name. Because I think that he is the person that says no matter what your family, your blood family has done, you can always, this will probably come up, will come up later maybe, but no matter what your blood family has done, you can always right the ship. You can go back on course. And I think Luke is the symbol of, your destiny is not what your parents say it was. It's not what even the mystical force says it was. It's you are the master of your own destiny, and you can always bring back others. Redemption is never lost, and no one's ever really gone, both in the physical and the spiritual sense. And I think Luke is the epitome of never giving up on anyone, despite the fact that he had to take some years to figure that out for himself. I don't think he ever gave up on a single person, especially his own family.
Yeah, I think that's what's so beautiful about his character in the films and his character arc is like he was flawed, like really flawed as a person. And like I am one of the people that have always been in that camp of the way that they portrayed Luke Skywalker in the sequel trilogy was phenomenal, and I absolutely loved it. And this is coming from someone who had read the majority of the Legends books that after Return of the Jedi that he had took part in. I mean, you can listen to my when I was on Star Wars Archives, if you guys haven't listened to that yet, I get to sort of show off my Legends knowledge on that show a little bit because me and Trevor went back and forth a whole lot about some of the legacy books and stuff. And I've always been in the camp of Luke Skywalker is I love that they made him not this just godlike person, right? And that was something that he had to run from. I love that about him, that he ran from that storyline of him just being this legend, right? So, I mean, his legacy to me will always be that he sort of highlights the humanism of the Jedi, right? He highlights that it's okay to be, a person with flaws and doubts and self-doubt, man. If there's nothing else that Luke Skywalker just totally had that really just makes him a really profound character is just a level of self-doubt that throughout his life he had to have masters remind him that he was worthy. And I think that's what made his death so utterly meaningful for me, and I think impacted me much more than any other death on this list. I think is Luke Skywalker's. His was the one of the original 3 that we got in the sequel trilogy that just really hit me.
Yeah, there was a meme that I saw before Last Jedi came out, and it was like, when people saw the red letters Star Wars and Last Jedi was in the middle, and people would just superimpose their own words in the same font between Star and Wars. And one said, Star Wars, I swear to God, if I have to see Luke Skywalker die with my own 2 eyes. And it was like, but I agree, it was so beautiful. And I think it's also a great reminder that the legacy of Luke is that if you're the person that never gives up on others and is always, fighting for others, make sure you take that time to check in on yourself, to believe in yourself as well. Because I think Luke was so selfless for so long that he kind of felt the burdens of others, of the entire Jedi Order, the entire Skywalker line, and needed a break. So be like Luke. Take a break. Love that.
Charles, that was for you.
Charles, that was for you, buddy. Speaking of someone who maybe took too many breaks, it could be said, let's talk about the legacy of Han Solo.
Very good. Very good.
Hey, Moss.
Thank you.
Where's my boyfriend?
Where's my boyfriend? Yes.
Fun. Like, I have to interrupt with a fun story about that quote really fast. So my neighbor, there's this kind of crazy lady that lives across the street from us. Hope she doesn't listen to this podcast, but that would be even more weird. This crazy lady that lives across the street from us. She has another little small dog. I have 2 small dogs, Ray and Kylo, and the neighbor has another small dog. His name is Tramp. And he comes to visit all the time, and it's a boy dog. So Caitlin and I always joke that it's Ray's boyfriend. And so every time that we see that dog, both of us are just like, "Where's my boyfriend?" Every single time. And it has nothing. It doesn't make any sense, but I like that Wookiee.
I like that
little
Wookiee.
Tramp comes over. Then he runs back over to the crazy lady's house. It's fantastic.
All right, just know, folks, Attack of the Clones is this week, but only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more Patreon goals till you get Force Awakens. So, but yeah, so we're at Han Solo's past. We're at the altar. We're putting up the picture. I love what you said, Charles. What picture are you putting up? What version of Han are we thinking? And what's the legacy of Han Solo?
I think
because this would vary.
I think my favorite version of Han, if I had to pick a peak Han Solo, I think peak Han Solo is the end of Empire continuing into Return of the Jedi. I think that is peak Han Solo.
In Carbonite.
In Carbonite, yes. That time he's asleep is the best part. Because he is...
The picture is...
yes, he has embraced... God.
Clip it.
He has embraced the fact that he can be a hero at that point, right? Like, he's not running from his past like he is a little bit in the sequel trilogy, right? He's just this... He's embraced it. That he's a good guy now, right? He's not a scoundrel. He's a good guy. And I think that's like the legacy that he leaves is he tries to be this tough macho dude, but that's just not who he is.
I like that. Yeah, I think my Han is... I think my Han I think about is actually... That one's really fucking phenomenal, the Empire one. Also, the New Hope, End of New Hope Han is a high one, because I think he's the guy that always comes back. I think that Han talks a big game, but his legacy is that no matter how hot to trot you are, you always come back for those that you love. And I think that is what ended up kind of doing him in at the end, because he came back for Ben. And at that point, Ben wasn't quite ready for it, but he came back for his son. He came back for Leia. He comes back for Luke at the first time we see him. And I think that is kind of the most constant personality trait of a guy who is always running away. He is also the man who always comes back when you need him. And I think all of us have had that friend at one point or another that he won't answer texts or they won't hang up. But at 3 a.m, who you calling when you need some help? And they're always going to be there. That's Han Solo.
Yeah.
I got a flat tire. Okay.
What?
I mean, Eric, you probably stole the best one, but
yes, points.
Why not a picture of Han with his feet up on the cantina table?
Oh man!
Oh yeah!
And a blaster bolt coming out of his gun first.
Woo! Woo!
Shot
just,
first. Yeah.
Just
Got a little
to
warm in here.
Solidify the fact that he shot first. That would be a great just addition to the wall that already is that both Charles and Eric and Corey had already laid out.
Love that.
Yeah. I to round this out, I have to choose a picture of Han from Solo Star Wars Story. I feel
Love
like
it.
maybe like when he's kind of realizing who he is when he confronts Lando at the end at the second card game. I feel like that would be a good one. And Han is like so. I'm going last here because I was genuinely racking my brain. Like, how do you describe Han Solo? Because I do think he's one of the harder people to kind of nail down within Star Wars. And I love what you guys all said. I think that Han is a good example of, as rough and tumble as the galaxy makes it in Star Wars, or the world makes it for us, to really stay true to kind of those central tenets that we all have. And it's similar to what you said, Eric, where he really does love people deep down. He puts on a show and there's bluster and there's this and that, but at the end of the day, like, he loves people. He wants to stay behind and get Kira back. You know, like, he puts himself in danger 10 times over throughout the original trilogy to go back for the people that he loves. And exactly what you said as well, Eric, with going back for Ben Solo. And that's really what did him in. He has two of the, if we could play like an audio clip on the Ofrenda, if we could put like something on a loop, "Hey Kid,"
oh my God.
Chewie, we're home.
I was going to bring that up, dude, man. That "Hey Kid" line, I don't think any line in all of Star Wars. I know, dude. I'm telling you,
I didn't expect it to hit me right there.
It hits you in the gut every single time I hear it. It hits me in the gut, and I like immediately felt that way in the theater the first time I saw it. It's still that way every time, and it's like Han Solo's legacies of love.
There's like this moment of almost too long silence, and even the first time, I'm convinced, even the first time I was sitting there watching that movie, I knew what I was about to hear. Not like "Hey Kid," but like I could feel it. And he says "Hey Kid," and I just lost it.
All right, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna add one more picture to the Ofrenda. Han gets a big one. His long life, right? It's the picture of Alden Ehrenreich Han looking out at hyperspace for the first time, and just the wonder of his face as he's flying. And I think, because that's another thing, he was just always born to fly. I think that pure wonder, which is also why I think Alden was a perfect choice for that character as an actor. Like, he portrayed that sense of joy in one of the most stubborn, cranky old characters. He used to have that joy. So let's do the lateral shift. Let's go right to Leia Organa. Jedi, General, Princess, Rebellion leader. My gosh, what do you put on Leia's Ofrenda? Because what do you do? Like,
she has so many good moments.
I think the Leia I most remember is the sequel trilogy Leia. I think she, specifically the way she looked to me, the first thing that comes to mind is the end of The Last Jedi, right? Where she is sort of at the end of her leadership era, right? I mean, she is sort of passing on the torch in that film. I mean, she's like, she's that famous scene where she's like, why are you looking at me? Follow him,
Follow him.
And I mean, she sort of leaves behind, her legacy there, right? And she's finally done after all that. And Leia is just like hope is her like word. Like, if we were to write a text on it, it's hope. It's what she says in Rogue One, which is also one of the greatest cameos in all of Star Wars.
Absolutely.
That's just what she represents more than anything. In fact, I think that is specifically referred to in the movies at some point about Leia representing hope specifically.
Yeah. What have they given us? And she just says hope. I mean, she says it, but it is a thing that follows her. It's a thing she represents, regardless of where she is in her career and her journey. Like, she has hope the rebellion will live on. She has hope that Ben will come back, like, bring our son home. Like, she never gives up on him. She never gives up on Luke. She never gives up on Rey. Like, she is. If you need to have anything in your life go better, if you're like, I'll never get out of this. I'll never get this. Talk to Leia Organa for 7 seconds.
Yeah.
And you would be like, I can conquer the world.
Yeah. I think for her, if I was going to choose one picture, it would actually, this might sound funny at first, but it would actually be her meeting Wicket. Like offering him like the little ration bar or something, whatever it was. And the reason I say that is I feel like it's so fitting for Leia's character that, keep in mind, none of their efforts, none of the rebellion's efforts would have been successful with the second Death Star if things hadn't gone perfectly on Endor, if they hadn't destroyed, the shield generators, and if the Ewoks hadn't helped them. And it was that moment that actually solidified that relationship. So we saw Leia heavily contribute to the downfall of an empire by a simple act of kindness, right? And I think that just so perfectly fits who she was and what she stood for, that's the image I would choose.
Yeah. Strength without brutality. I think it was, and Maggie in the chat, but it's a great point that we were trying to find earlier. When they say the galaxy has lost its hope is mentioned when no one answers Leia at the end of The Last Jedi. So they have lost the hope, which is literally embodied by Leia. Thanks, Maggie. Great point.
Yeah.
I also love how much of kind of a low-key badass that Princess Leia is, right? Like, I mean, she has some of the best lines, I think, in all of the original trilogy, right? I think my favorite...
Into the garbage chute, flyboy.
I know. I think my favorite line of all of Leia's lines is when she lets the facade of her being the princess of Alderaan just drop, and it's when Vader brings her before Tarkin on the ship, and she goes, "Governor Tarkin, I thought I smelled your foul stench when I was brought on board." And I'm just like, damn,
incredible,
damn, like,
hey,
man.
You stank.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of you, and I'm not afraid what you can do to me.
Yeah. Now that's a great choice. My picture I want to put up, and I want to hear yours, Wes. I'm gonna put up the picture of her running the briefing meeting in Empire on Hoth when she's like, "This is all going badly. Listen up. I'm like 19, and you are gonna listen to me because I'm in charge." And every single one of them is silent and at attention, because Leia, regardless of what arena she was in, commanded respect and knew what she was doing throughout her entire life. Like, she was a general from the time she was born, essentially.
She's a leader for sure.
Yeah, she's a leader. She's a leader among leaders. I think she's probably the best pure leader in the saga, pretty easily.
Yeah.
And I think someone that led without being brutal, while still having strength and while also having love and compassion the whole time. She kind of, I think, was the mold for what leaders should be.
Yeah. I would like to say that I have the same Myers-Briggs that Princess Leia has been assigned.
Oh, do you?
I remember that about the Myers-Briggs picture. I love looking at the Star Wars characters, and Caitlin did that for us when we did the Enneagrams last year on the team too. I forget who.
I got Sebulba.
Is that real? That's not real.
You know what?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I was gonna say, yeah, because you eat with your feet. I don't know, like
what?
My favorite picture would be her just bending over on in front of R2 and powering it on, because that is the first time that Luke sees her. That's the first time. Or whenever R2 throws her up on the holographic, as on. What is that?
And Last Jedi?
Last Jedi.
Yeah, not Octo.
Cheap move.
Yeah.
That was a cheap move.
I love that.
I mean, all the ones is her first canonical appearance when she's a baby on Revenge of the Sith. That's the best one.
That's a good one. That's when you know. Hey, you know what? Let's stick with Revenge of the Sith then. Let's go one generation earlier. Let's get the friend of Padme Amidala. Let's I mean, we get the literal funeral of Padme. Which is not something you get a lot in Star Wars. People kind of die, and too bad, it's war. You got to keep going. So we do get a little bit.
Let's talk about funerals really fast. We get Padme's, we get Qui-Gon's,
Vader's.
Is that all? I think that's it.
In the books, you get Han's.
That's true.
And it is, if you want to. I think that's in the Last Jedi novelization.
I think it is too. I'm pretty sure. It is.
Highly recommend that if you want to be real sad. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, for sure.
But now it's not Bastidios Muertos now. We get Padme. We built a Regina friend though with the entire galaxy coming in for sure.
You know, Padme has a lot of characteristics that I think Leia has, right? You know, like mother, like daughter, I suppose, right?
Yeah,
I mean, she's also
beautifully.
She's also a leader. But other words that sort of come to mind are like justice and No, but I think something that Padme to me represents more than anything else was love and unconditional love, right? Like her and Anakin discussing what the Jedi are allowed to do and allowed to love. That always stands out to me in Attack of the Clones, and like, you know, she was by Anakin's side and tried to support him through all the, you know, the demons that he was facing, but you know, they unfortunately, you know, won the battle, I suppose, right? So, but Padme is that sort of rock foundation that Anakin had, and you know, I see her like, I think the Padme picture that I would choose would be like the private Padme, right? Like, I think it's the same picture that we pictured her, like when we talk. Somebody, a patron asked us a while back who the favorite hairstyle or whatever that Padme had.
Oh yeah, the curly hair in the the robe.
Yeah, when she's in the night robe thing, the blue night robe thing, when her and Anakin are having those private moments. That's the like the real Padme that I sort of envision. I guess is the sort of fully dedicated to Anakin Padme, like, but also being that like quiet leader that, you know, was like a point of justice for so many people in the galaxy.
Yeah, I completely agree, because I think that Padme's leadership style was so interesting because it was all based in love, because it was love of every single person on every single planet. Because her biggest thing was trying to get rid of slavery in the galaxy, right? That's her whole career, especially in the Queen's trilogy, which is ending now next year. Like, she's all about justice for those she doesn't even know. And I think that was like, not that Leia didn't care, but Leia is because of her time period is fighting for like her squad and for her friends and for her family and for like her rebellion, whereas Padme is like, how can I make the galaxy at large better? And I think that Padme's complete unwillingness to play games, to sacrifice her ideals, is really huge. And I think I would probably give like a picture of her giving a speech in the Senate while a bunch of people are booing her. It's like a great one to be like, nope, I'm younger than all of you. I'm going to stand up here. I'm dressed to the nines. I am talking. I look great. I sound great. I'm right. And I'm not going to back down and pretend that I'm wrong just to assuage you. And I think that kind of power, because she knows that no one else is going to speak up for the people that really need to be heard. And I think that continuous, you know, belief, and it leads to the Jedi too, of like, you know, we should probably talk about our love now and then. Like, maybe she should have told Obi-Wan. And I think the only time she didn't tell people what she thought was that, which ended up not going super well in the end. So I think her strength and her ideals was kind of her legacy.
Yeah, one of the iconic moments that really stuck with me was when she gave up her disguise as one of the handmaidens and said, "No, I am Padme Amidala," in front of Boss Nass, trying to, because she knew she needed help, and in order to do that, she had to sacrifice, like coming out to everybody, like actually, I am the one. I am Padme Amidala. Yeah, absolutely. So I think, like sacrificing it all in that one instance there in front with the Gungans in front of Boss Nass and everybody was left a lasting legacy just with her alone.
I love that moment. Read the Phantom Menace novelization if you want a little more of that.
It wasn't a spoiler.
That
was
scene
in
is
the movie.
Intense. Yeah. Wes, come on.
Yeah, I actually, that was a moment that I was thinking of too, Wes. I think it's so perfect because Padme is a leader, like through and through. She's a leader, and even in the moments where she's kind of supposed to be fading into the back, she can't help but naturally come to the forefront.
Yeah.
And so if I had to choose another picture that we haven't said, I choose when she hands the thing that I should probably know the name of it, the like orb of light to Boss Nass during the festival.
Peace orb.
Yeah, whatever that thing is. We just lost some cred, some street
Sorry,
cred. But
what are those stupid things that used to be at Spencer's you could touch and make your hair stand up?
Yeah.
What are those things called? You know?
I don't remember those either.
That's how Corey spent every weekend.
That's what it is.
Stupid things.
That's what it is. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
A Spencer's ball. Yeah, Padme Spencer ball.
Yes,
Yeah.
I would choose that moment
that.
for all the reasons that y'all have already said.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, let's go on. Let's each do one more. Let's do. So we do. Listeners and viewers, we have a list. We do have show notes, as much as it may seem that we do not sometimes. Let's go. Let's each pitch one more, or it could be anyone else that has died, frankly, that you think deserves an ofrenda at our Dia de los Muertos celebration. Does anyone have one off the top that you're just like, yes, instantly?
For sure.
Oh yeah, Charles, Doug, go for it.
Who do you think I'm going to choose?
Mace Windu.
Ben Quadraneros.
No, I'm not choosing Mace Windu because he's alive. He
Jabba the
can't
Hutt.
get a spot on the offender.
Jabba the Hutt.
I'm choosing Obi-Wan Kenobi. The surprise is nobody, but I want to talk about
I'm tired of hearing you talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, Charles. I think we should
never be tired of it.
I think we should ban that on the show.
I would never be tired of it.
I'm
outvoted.
All right,
kidding,
fine.
obviously.
We can never talk about Kenobi again. When the show comes out, don't come here for your coverage.
I call for a vote of no confidence in Corey Hilton.
Speaking of Padme, no, I want to talk about Obi-Wan for a minute because I think even as much as we talk about him, he's underappreciated. And if I had to choose a moment for Obi-Wan, even though Ewan McGregor is my favorite of those who played Obi-Wan Kenobi, I would choose the moment where Obi-Wan deactivates his lightsaber and is standing there waiting for Vader to strike him down. I would choose that moment. And the legacy, I think, that is so powerful with Obi-Wan that I feel like really resonates with me, and maybe is honestly a big portion of why I love this character so much, is that you're not defined by the mistakes that you've made, even if they have incredible ramifications, right? Like his failures more or less created Vader and allowed the Empire to come about and commit innumerable atrocities across the galaxy. And yet, when it came to that last moment, he knew essentially what he needed to do to arguably make up for his mistakes in the past, to not let those bog him down. And he set Luke off on a journey that corrected everything and then some. And I just think that's so powerful. And he didn't do it by defeating someone, right? As like the old wise warrior. Like he did it by actually deactivating his lightsaber. Yeah. I think it's incredible.
And it's funny, I do think if you asked Obi-Wan like 100 times out of 100, like if you knew that Anakin would survive Mustafar and become Darth Vader, would you have gone and cut his head off? I think no. I think he never would have, because I think that Obi-Wan is like yeah, like I think that you have to be cool.
I already did everything. I already cut off everything else.
Yeah. I can't do anymore. No, that's a great one, Charles. That's a great one. The legacy of Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Immaculate Teacher, I think for me, is Obi-Wan. I think that no matter who he talked to, he taught everyone, including himself. I think that he always had lessons to teach, but also was forever willing to learn, which I think made him maybe the best teacher, if not the second best teacher to Yoda in all of the Jedi. And I think my picture would be of him and Anakin in the elevator in Attack of the Clones when he just giggles at him.
Yes.
I think that's the moment I put on the friend of like, remember this guy who, even though he was a mentor, he always found times for laughing. He always found the moments to enjoy the company of those he was with, because every teaching moment is also important because you're showing someone you love them by imparting knowledge. And that would be how I'd probably remember Obi-Wan, from teaching Anakin, from teaching Luke, from teaching every Jedi he ever met. And like even in the Clone Wars, I mean, every line he gave was always a little lesson from Master Obi-Wan. And I think those are the things that he gets remembered for after he's gone.
Really good. I mean, one that's kind of, it's not in the movies, but it's in the Clone Wars, was when he's on Tatooine and he watches Luke run when he's like a little kid. So remember that scene when he runs across? Yeah, it's Rebels. Sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Luke.
That is the best
scene.
episode of Rebels that exists.
Yeah.
Twin Sons.
Yeah. So good. So good.
Yep.
I can actually take a character, kind of shifting gears a little bit, of
Go for it.
Of similar vein as Darth Maul. Even though he's a villain, he's one of the only villains on this list.
He's still dead.
He is. He is still dead, and does have a bit of a legacy. And I think Darth Maul is one of these characters that's like was continually wronged throughout his entire life and was shaped by all those experiences, right? You know, I just finished rereading Plagueis again, and I don't know if you guys remember that, but Darth Maul is heavily featured in the Plagueis novel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I consider that story. It's probably very similar to what I would imagine Darth Maul's canon story would be anyway, in the way that Palpatine always kept him sort of at a distance of the grand plan, but also filled his head with grand ideas of the Sith, but never truly like bestowed upon him, the Sith title and the heritage and all that kind of stuff, right? And we saw how that shaped him, because like he feared Palpatine until the very end. We saw that in Clone Wars when they faced each other, and he always felt so utterly betrayed by everybody in his life. And we saw that in the Rebels TV show. It's like, what would his life had looked like if he was not shaped like that, right? Like what sort of life would he have lived? And so I think there is something to be said about that legacy of, it's sort of that sort of unconditional love towards anybody, right? Is like, even though he was evil that committed such atrocities, like, maybe there's something to be learned there. Is that there's still something that your experiences shape you. All your experiences shape you. Yeah.
I think if I'm honoring Maul, if I'm that person in this exercise, right, that is bringing a picture to Maul's altar, it's a small altar. We can admit that. I do think it might be a picture of him. I don't think we see it in canon, but like before he was taken off Dathomir. I think it might be like, never forget that every cruel person was once a child of innocence. And I think that the legacy of Maul is that any amount of cruelty can take the most innocent soul and corrupt it. And I think that if you are inflicting pain, if you are inflicting your own desires upon another person, another being, you can absolutely destroy them, and it may not be their fault. And if they do horrible things, they have to take ownership. But there's always something that if you are casually cruel, you need to know the ramifications of that going forward.
I think I have it. I think Maul's legacy is that vengeance doesn't pay off. That is Maul's legacy, because that is what we see. That's what we see at the very end. At his very end, when Obi-Wan finally, does him in, like, spoilers in Rebels, right? In that same episode of Rebels, he, like, his last words are something along the lines of, "Is he the chosen one?" Talking about Luke or whatever, right? Is he the chosen one? Is it true what they say about him, or whatever that line is? And Obi-Wan says,
"He will avenge
yes.
us."
Yeah, he says he will avenge us, and then he dies, and it's like, for what? For what? What was the purpose of your life? Like, it was for nothing, right? I mean, you always wanted that vengeance that he never got against Obi-Wan. Even when he tried, he never felt fulfilled. Even when he killed Obi-Wan's love in front of him, right? In the Clone Wars, he still was not fulfilled, because we still see him chasing that later on in Rebels. So,
and he has this like close relationship with Ezra that like he kind of keys into a little bit of that master of like a little bit of like what it could be if you were just connected with another human, and if he would have let go of that spirit of vengeance and power, who knows if he could have actually been a mentor and could have actually shared this connection with someone like Ezra. And
they really fleshed out that story of Darth Maul better than they did in the movies.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, they gave us all those background details and kind of extended the story that we never knew. We just thought Darth Maul was this badass that did spinny flips and then do some
which
crazy,
he definitely did.
Yeah, definitely did that. That led both Jedi into that area by himself through forethought.
It was the double cheeseburger of lightsabers. Okay,
yes,
that's right.
He's a complex character, and I think it's this show has certainly made that.
All right, Wes, who you put up on the Ofrenda, and I'll round us out.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'll jump on that. I'll jump on that Sith bandwagon.
Oh, cool. Then I got
what
one more.
about
It's not a Sith.
what about Count Dooku? And
Ooh!
I bring this up. I bring this up more as a question to y'all, because I'm kind of confused at it. But so Count Dooku was once a Jedi, fell to the dark side. But he was the leader of the Separatists, but he was still he was still the apprentice of Palpatine.
Right.
But in the end, we kind of come to a conclusion that the Separatists were on the right side of the war because, I mean, in a sense, because the Republic turns out to be the Empire.
Right.
So what was Count Dooku's ultimate goal as being a Separatist, but also being the apprentice of Palpatine?
And Yoda.
Yeah, so
I mean, the dude was the apprentice of two pretty
and
freaking
Yoda,
powerful
correct.
first users.
That's true. In the Plagueis book, which I know is not canon, but like I said, I consider most of that. None of that has been overwritten by canon at all. So until it is, it's to me the story because it's freaking phenomenal. In Plagueis, like Dooku, he leaves the Jedi Order well before he becomes a Sith, right? So he was like,
right.
Which is, I don't think I really realized that, I guess, until I re-listened to Plagueis recently, is like he's...
Which also happens
Jedi Lost.
Yeah, Dooku Jedi Lost, they do the same
That's
thing.
right,
He
that's
leaves
right.
because of ideals first.
Yes, it is ideals first. And so that's what he was chasing, was he was truly disenfranchised with the Republic, and he was right, you know? It's like, why are you
Dooku
booing?
was
I'm
right.
I know, right?
That's the next shirt. That's the next shirt, Jose. Dooku was right.
Exactly.
Right.
Dooku was right.
So yeah, that's his lasting legacy. He was right, and everybody shit on him, for lack of a better term.
Maybe it's like, maybe his legacy is that the best intentions can be muddled by the vicious extremes. Because I think that if Dooku had actually used his intelligence and stayed just neutral,
by the dark side.
Exactly. There it is. The best intentions can be clouded by the dark side. Is that, you know what? He was a great student, and he asked a lot of great questions that probably would have helped the Jedi. He probably would have been an amazing High Republic Jedi. I think he and Elzar Mann would have been bros. But like, if you allow a little bit of darkness to cloud yourself in, and you sacrifice a little bit of yourself here, like when he taps into the Terataka in Dooku Jedi Lost, like when you let a little bit in to get what you want, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, like Dooku is the frog that's in the water that's slowly being boiled, and by the time he knew it was too hot, he was already shooting Force lightning, and
Except instead
too bad,
of a
you're a
pot,
pawn.
it's Force lightning.
Exactly it.
One of the best duelists of all the Jedi, even with arthritis.
Even with arthritis in his hands. I love that being Dooku's legacy, that, you know, you can have the best intentions, but if you lose yourself along the way, it doesn't matter.
Great, yeah.
Charles, what do you think about our Christopher Lee man?
No, I mean, I think you put it perfectly. The phrase, at least here in the Carolinas, is the path to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you think you're doing the right thing, but you can still kind of end up in the wrong place, if that makes sense. And that was exactly Dooku's case.
Totally. All right. I'm going to end us on one that a lot of people have talked about. It's not the most cliche one, I don't think, but it's definitely a large topic conversation. Let's build the altar, the ofrenda for Ben Solo.
No,
I want to know what Ben Solo's legacy is.
I think we are finally moving out of that phase, Eric, to talk about it being cliche. I think
in a larger context.
Yes, in the larger the concept of Star Wars.
Context,
larger context of Star Wars. Like, we now have live action TV shows. We have animated shows. We are moving past the prequels. We have this new book stuff with the High Republic. We're moving past the prequels. Finally, thank God. I'm tired of talking about the prequels. Well, I'm almost. I was tired of the sequels. Sorry,
the sequels.
I was tired of talking about the sequels. Now I'm almost ready to talk about it again from a bigger picture point of view. I think the books have filled in the gaps in a lot of ways, and
it's been 2 years. So here we are.
I think we can finally talk about
episode. The sequels revisited.
The sequels revisited. Yeah, I think we can.
Charles,
finally talk
put that
about...
in Slack immediately. I'm going to forget.
That's a good point. I think we can finally talk about Ben Solo and his death and his redemption and what it looks like. And I think we needed more lines in the movies about there being more good in Ben. I think that maybe would have made it more viable, because we got that with Vader. Why did nobody have any problem with Vader being redeemed? And maybe they did, but we weren't around for that movie to be created.
That's a good point.
Right.
But like, you know,
Leia has it. She's like, there's still good in him. I know it.
Yeah,
like she tells it to Han. That's like their last conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love Ben's legacy being that it's literally what Luke says. No one's ever really gone. I think that is Ben Solo's legacy. Is that the last he was struggling. He was fighting to be loved, to be accepted, to live up to whatever he wanted to be. Up until the last hour of his life, like that last Exegol sequence, I will still put up against anything else in Star Wars. But once Ben Solo arrives at Exegol and fights Palpatine with Rey, I love it. Yeah, grabbing the lightsaber, like rising up to the Solo Skywalker legacy. Like, I think and also we're assuming in this exercise, right? We're building the altar, and Rey tells us all the story, right? So like, if that's going in. The picture that I do is the still frame when he sees Rey through the Force, and it's just Ben's face. It's like clean. He's like right in the middle of all the Knights of Ren,
shirtless.
Shirtless.
Ideally, it would be shirtless.
High-waisted pants.
High-waisted pants, Ben Solo. No,
very specific, Eric.
That's a different altar. This one, I think. It's the only moment I think he may have been truly at peace in his entire life. And I think it is that no matter what you've done, no matter who your parents are, no matter what mistakes you've made, I think weirdly, this is fitting because I think Ben Solo tonight, as we've been talking about it, is actually the culmination of every other legacy that went before him. It's Obi-Wan, Leia, Luke, and Han.
I know.
Yeah.
All in one.
He does have a lot of those.
Dang, look at that.
I know. Ben Solo is a fascinatingly complex character that, unfortunately, the sequel trilogy really kind of beat into the ground with all of the negative, toxic stuff. And, inevitably in our lifetime, when we get the next trilogy of Star Wars films, because let's be honest, there will be another trilogy of Star Wars films at some point, it's going to be very interesting to be on the sidelines and watch just how toxic it gets again, right? I mean, this is going to happen every single time we get Star Wars films. It's going to be toxic as all hell. And it's fun to look back at the complexity of these characters once we have more information. You know what I mean? So,
I just started thinking about the Rogue Squadron movie and got real excited.
It's gonna be wild. Ben Dimshin's his arc on Kijimi, and we already talked about it with Han Solo and everything, is man, that is some powerful emotional storytelling. He could never run. He could never run. He tried so hard. He tried so hard to run from his family and everything, and he couldn't.
Even Kylo Ren, we have met now the Ren. That's not he never has a unique name. He's either the Ren or he's the Solo. He needs his own identity, and it's it is miraculous he ends the way he does with that sacrifice and that amount of love. And, no matter who you are, you can find that.
We for sure didn't get enough redemption scenes from Ben. It's heavily weighted in the fact that he was Kylo Ren and that he killed a whole bunch of people and he killed his father. And you have this,
so did
15,
Vader, though, right?
20, 15 minutes of,
yeah,
exactly. Then that's why I thought that was interesting that you brought that up, is that nobody had a problem with Darth Vader's redemption, but everybody has a problem with Ben Solo's, right? So then
he has 30 seconds of being a good guy.
yeah, exactly. But I think that's something that needs to be fleshed out, whether it be it's going to have to be a book or Adam Driver's now coming back, so it's
he's doing plenty of stuff. I think he's busy. I want to see The Last Duel, but yeah.
I think he's a good example. I'm trying to think of a good way to put this. My mom used to tell me, "You are who you hang out with," which was to say that you should choose your company carefully and that you should choose the people who are important to you carefully. And
I've made a grievous mistake looking at this 4-panel camera.
Yes, right? Go ahead, Eric. And for some reason, one of the moments for Ben Solo / Kylo Ren that I think the most about is the line, "You come from nothing, you're nothing, but not to me."
Yeah.
And I just find that line to be so powerful, to find those people in your life who are that level of importance to you and to just cling to them with absolutely everything that you have. And Ben Solo was a wonderful example of that.
Yeah. And we haven't talked about this in a while because of its release, but if you haven't read The Rise of Skywalker novelization by Ray Carson, a lot of this really gets it hits home in that book with the Ben Solo stuff, with Rey's expansion of it from his time on Exegol to his last moments, and it's a really beautiful encapsulation of that vibe. And I don't think we're done with him. And I think in stuff like the Rise of Kylo Ren, we see him before all of it, and I think that could also be a picture on the Friender, right? Like the Jedi Ben, the young Ben that is hopeful, that is with Luke, that is learning about the ways of the Force, and is, and then even going to Last Shot, Baby Ben with Uncle Wanwo. Like, I think there are so many moments in his life that could belong on that altar, that could tell maybe the most full story of all these people, and I love that idea. So as we get to the actual Day of the Dead coming up in November, I encourage all of you watching and listening, think about those folks in your life that, if they've passed on, you don't have to go through all the steps of building one if you don't want to, but like, in your mind, maybe pick some pictures of those people that you love. Think about their legacies. Think about those moments that you had with them and what they meant to you. It could be a really special time of year. After you've gotten your candy, after you've gone to your parties next weekend, take some time and just celebrate those that have gone. And if they're fictional, all the better. You know what? They're always with us, no matter what, just as Luke said. Oh, all right. I'm done being emotional for the evening. I started emotional and I ended there. And next week, folks, we're going to get emotional again because sneak peek, the four of us are going to be talking about the first 5 or 10 books that we ever read in Star Wars. We're going to go back in time and talk about how we, before Utini was a thing, got into Star Wars literature and enjoy the train wreck that it was. Because Corey, I'm pretty sure, read 5 random cool-looking orange-covered books.
Pretty much. It was absolutely a trip down memory lane to talk about the Legacy of the Force series on Star Wars Archives. Like, I had not even... Trevor reminded me of things that were somewhere deep down in my brain that I have not thought about in friggin' 20 years. So,
dude, it was awesome episode. It was the most Trevor thing ever, where he had 2 minutes to talk about the whole series and used all of it to talk about the first book.
Yeah, like the first 30% of the first book. It was incredible.
Well, speaking of, shout out to our buddy Trevor, who got to meet Warwick Davis this week.
That's true.
And got his Ewok book signed. So congrats, Trev.
That's true. I wonder if I can find that picture really quick. I'll throw it up. Well,
we'll see if you can. But I do want to just say, end by saying, all of you that tuned in tonight, thank you so much to all of you celebrating Dia de los Muertos. I hope you have a very wonderful, impactful, and emotional time remembering those that have gone before. And if any of you want to watch us in real time unlock Corey's generational trauma with Star Wars, tune in next week live to see him glass over. Corey, this is your last warning. I'm about to the outro. I feel it coming. Do you have that picture?
I do. I have it ready to go. Here we go.
Amazing. It's coming.
Here. Where's this?
Our audio listeners have definitely already gone to their next podcast. Look at that!
Trevor and Warwick Davis. I don't remember the exact story, but Warwick Davis was some kind of VIP in a project that Trevor's company was working on, and he carried around
because they're filming over there.
He carried around this here. I'm not going to actually show the whole image. I'm just going to pull it up in Slack itself, because Trevor was carrying around this crazy book, Wicket Finds a Way, an Ewok adventure, and he got him to sign it, and that's pretty rad to get.
Warwick Davis is such a champ.
His signature on this crazy book. I can just picture Trevor carrying this thing around. That's so Trevor.
So happy for you, man. Congratulations. Ending on a high note before next week we go back into chaos. Because, my friends, that will do it for this week's episode of The Living Force. If you support us on Patreon, congratulations. You're about to get our Attack of the Clones commentary. We're recording Friday. It'll hit your feeds next week. Cannot wait. A special thank you to Cheryl Bell, OK Endar, Earl Q, Patrick Ortiz, and Carl Sander on our Jedi High Council, and Tyler Latour, Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Freddie C., and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Eric Eilerson. Corey is at Doc Star Wars MD. Charles Zetzi Henkel, and Wes is at Boss Wes. A special thank you to Matt Davenport, our amazing editor and newly tattooed birthday boy. Ryan, our graphic designer extraordinaire. And Wes, our producer, community manager, and unfortunate Astros fan. Thanks to Corey, Charles, and Wes for podcasting me tonight. Thanks to all of you for watching. Go Atlanta Braves, and as always, may the Force be with you!